So people often come to me and they want to know how they can become much more productive in life. And usually the question goes like this: Dr. Douyon, what supplement can I take? What pill can I take? What new limitless therapy can I take? So that way I'm not just using 10% of my brain, I'm using 90% of my brain so I can be a lot more productive. And two things come up for me. The first one is, well, who told you you're only using 10% of your brain? That is misinformation. Parts of your brain are in constant communication with each other. And two, if you want a quick pill that you think is going to give you some magical power, I'm not your guy. I flat out say that my job is to teach you how to become the leader that your brain needs you to be, so that way you can be more successful, so that way you can be healthier, so that way you can be more productive, so that way you can create the life that you want for yourself without prescribing you a single pill. So what I'm going to do today is give you 6 life hacks that you can do to become a lot more productive in life, to live a healthier life, to create a bigger and better business for yourself, for your employees, so that way you can have an amazing life for you, your family, and your friends. And none of these 6 life hacks are things that you need to put in your mouth and swallow. They're not pills at all. In fact, there are things that you have within you that you can just make adjustments to every single day. And it'll improve your life, it'll improve your brain, and you will thank me for it. So the first one that we're going to go through today is laughter. Have you ever heard anybody say laughter is the best medicine? We've got anecdotal data, anecdotal evidence, which really means that patient stories where they've been able to cure themselves with laughter. I've heard stories where somebody was diagnosed with a cancer and they had just a short period of time to live. And instead of going to the hospitals and taking all these therapies, what they did was do a comedy marathon. And within weeks, they were doing much better. Whatever tumor they had seen had shrunk. Laughter is so vital for our mental, our physical, our emotional, and our neurological health. And I'm not saying that, look, if you've got a diagnosis, just laugh and ignore your doctors. That's not what I'm saying at all. You certainly want to go to your doctors and follow the regimens that you agree with and follow the regimens of other doctors that can potentially help you if you don't like the first doctor that you saw. But laughter should be a key component in how we live our lives, so that way we can have the kind of joyous lives that we so desperately want. So what is laughter? Laughter is a really pleasant physical and emotional response. And basically all it is this rhythmic, diaphragmatic, auditory contraction. So it's your diaphragm contracting in a way that people can hear it. And it's not just your diaphragm, it's other respiratory structures that are also contracting that get that laughter out. But why is laughter so good for your brain? Laughter is good for your brain because, one, it releases endorphins. It releases the chemicals that allow your body to be as healthy as possible. It releases chemicals that allow your body to repair itself. It releases the feel-good hormones like dopamine, which improves your blood pressure, improves your motivation and rewards to do the things that are going to allow you to feel good and allow your body to be as healthy as possible. Laughter is really a key to a happier and a healthier life. It is one of the best medicines that we have. One of the other life hacks is exercise. Your brain and body are designed for you to move. In fact, not only is your body designed to move, your body is designed to jump, run, skip, push, pull, lift, bend, do any kind of movement that you could potentially think of. And controlling all of that movement, that's your brain. And it's not just that your brain controls the movement of your body, but your body also sends information back to the brain, which means that when your body is moving, that's going to be really healthy for your brain. Have you guys ever been diving before? I've been diving once in my life, and I probably will never do it again. Not because it wasn't a pleasant experience, but while I was down there, I realized God did not make me a fish. Everything down here is faster than I am. Some things are bigger than I am, right? But it's an amazing, amazing experience. If you go diving, what you may end up seeing is a sea squirt. And a sea squirt is this invertebrate animal, right? It usually lodged itself onto a rock or onto coral. It's got two sort of openings, one to eat, the other one to siphon water and get rid of waste products. But the sea squirt has this incredible journey that's very similar to human beings. In fact, the neurological destiny of sea squirts is very similar to our neurological destiny. When sea squirts are first born, they're this fully mobile tadpole, so they're swimming around all over the place. And then its primary goal within the first 12 to 72 hours of its life, it's to find a place where it's going to park itself and never move again. When a sea squirt is born and it's moving around, it's got a fully functioning brain, it's got a nervous system, so a brain and a spinal cord. And then once it parks itself and never moves again, the most incredible thing happens. Its body releases chemicals that start to degenerate its brain and spinal cord. After a few days, all that's left of this sea squirt's nervous system is this little rudimentary cell. No longer does it have a brain or spinal cord. We see the same thing happen to people. When you are sedentary, your brain starts to atrophy. It starts to shrink. Movement is a key component to brain health. In fact, the reason that human beings have developed these large, complex brain with 60 to 100 billion neurons, other supporting cells that outnumber neurons 9 to 1, it's because of our need to move throughout our evolutionary history. Early human species did not have the kind of big, complex brains that we have today. But what those early human species needed, they needed to move from environment to environment. They needed to chase down prey. They needed to hunt prey. They needed to run away from predators. They needed to move based on the climate of the area. And because of all of this movement, their brains got bigger. Their brains got more complicated. They started to develop more neurons and more supporting cells. So when you're spending your day just sitting all day long, that's not good for your brain. Living a sedentary lifestyle is one of the worst things that you can do for your brain. In fact, exercise is one of the healthiest things you can do for your brain. Exercise is the biggest promoter of neuroplasticity. That is your brain's ability to make new neurons and new connections. That's your brain's ability to learn, to heal from prior injury. You know how when we were in school, a lot of us would study for a test right up until the test was going to take place? Well, studies show that you're better off going for a run an hour prior to a test than you are cramming to the last minute. You'll remember more if you exercise prior to the test than you are if you cram information at the last minute. One of my favorite people to sort of watch and to talk about their brains are athletes. When's the last time, aside from an athlete who gets hit in the head for a living, like a boxer or MMA fighter or this new power slap thing that they're doing, which is absolutely ridiculous, when is the last time you heard of an athlete developing dementia? Athletes are constantly moving their bodies. And as a result, you'll see that often athletes are able to remember complicated schemes. Athletes are able to not only just do well in their sport, but they're also able to do very well in business ventures. I grew up playing and competing in tennis, so I'm a little biased. So I'll use tennis as an example. When you look at top tennis players of the past, Serena Williams, Roger Federer, they can win a tournament in France and deliver a victory speech in French. Next week, they go win a tournament in Italy and they deliver a victory speech in Italian. They're polyglots. They speak multiple languages, yet they never spend months or years in the same location to learn that language. But athletes are making the kind of demands on their bodies and therefore on their brains that allow their brains to learn information at a much faster pace than people who are just living sedentary lifestyles. Athletes are constantly moving. They're constantly challenging their bodies, but also their brains. That's the way that we need to live our lives. In order to get the most out of our brains for productivity, well, we've got to challenge it. And we've got to give our brains what they need. The third way to hack your brain for productivity, that's going to be based on how you eat. I think we have forgotten the purpose of eating. The purpose of eating is to give us the nourishment we need for us to be able to take on our daily activities. The purpose of eating is to help our bodies heal from any illness or injury. And the purpose of eating is to prevent illness from taking place. And yet, we eat for all types of reasons. We eat because something tastes good. We may not even be hungry. We eat because something tastes good. Right? We eat because we are depressed, because we're feeling down, because we're feeling lonely, because the food just happens to be there. Those aren't really good reasons for us to eat from a brain and body standpoint. Our brains and bodies didn't evolve in a way for us to eat the way that we do today. And eating, that takes a lot of effort for the body. There is a process going on when it comes to digestion. And as part of that digestive process, the breakdown products of that are toxic. They're toxic and they cause inflammation in our gut. Now, when we're eating foods that are healthy, that are easy for our bodies to digest, like fruits and vegetables, the toxic byproduct numbers go down. But when we're eating foods that are highly processed foods, that are inflammatory foods, well, those toxic byproducts go up. And that causes a lot of inflammation. That inflammation doesn't just stay isolated to the gut. That inflammation travels everywhere throughout the body, including the brain. So you may experience that as a headache. You may experience that as brain fog. I've had patients who've experienced that as seizures. Let me tell you a story about a patient that I took care of. She was in her mid to late 30s. She had had epilepsy her entire adult life. She had had 2 different epilepsy surgeries, meaning that doctors went in on 2 different occasions, took out 2 different parts of her brain to try to cure her of her seizures. And she continued to have seizures all the time. And then, when I was seeing her, she was on 7 different anti-epilepsy medications. 7. All of them with potential side effects. So while I was seeing her and sort of assessing what was going on, and definitely she was one of my more complicated patients to take care of, I decided to make a change, a simple change in her diet. I took soda out of her diet. And for the first time, she went seizure-free for 6 months. 6 months. Then all of a sudden, she ended back in my ER. And I go downstairs, and let's say her name was Lucy. I said, Lucy, what's going on? You've been doing so great. And you know what Lucy said to me? You will never take soda out of my diet again. And she had 2 2-liter bottles of Pepsi at her bedside. The way that we eat has a significant impact on our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our neurological health. So you want to make healthier choices when it comes to how you're eating. Another life hack that you can do in order to increase productivity is sleep. And on this podcast, the Surviving Your Brain podcast, we've had a sleep expert, Dr. Barone, where we really dive into sleep. But sleep, what I often say is that sleep is made for your brain. It's made for your brain. And here's why. When you get into the deeper stages of sleep, your body starts to clear out the toxins that have built up throughout the day from the work that your brain is doing. And when you're sleep deprived, when you're spending years of being sleep deprived, decades of being sleep deprived, and those toxins are just building up, do you know what that predisposes you to? The thing that so many people are terrified of getting predisposes you to Alzheimer's disease. Sleep is also a time when your brain consolidates what you have learned throughout the day, turning what you have learned into memory. So there are people that I see all the time that are like, Dr. Douyon, I've got really bad memory. But they're sleeping like 3-4 hours a day. This idea that, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, that's true, but you're going to be dead a whole lot sooner. Not sleeping can ultimately lead to your death because that has an impact, not just on your brain health, but on your cardiovascular health. Puts you at risk for having heart attacks. And I know that there's some people out there that are like, yeah, especially some guys. So let me tell you this. Not sleeping, not getting enough sleep is also a risk factor to be impotent. Not getting enough sleep is a risk factor to be depressed and anxious. So the question is, well, how much sleep do you really need to get? Some people say 6 to 8 hours. Some people say 7 to 9 hours. But it's in that sort of range. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. But if you're getting 4 to 5 hours, man, you are setting yourself up for a disaster. And guess what? Getting more than 9 hours of sleep on a regular basis, that's not healthy for you also. That can cause you to feel cognitively slow. In fact, people who get 9 hours of sleep or more on a regular basis, when you have them do cognitive tests, they don't do anywhere near as well as people who get anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of sleep do. So you want to make sure that you're getting a good night's sleep. And there are ways that you can start preparing your body and your brain for sleep. Some of those things that you can do that are sort of easy to do. Limit the amount of caffeine intake that you're going to take, especially no caffeine 8 hours prior to when you're going to go to bed. You can exercise. Exercise is incredibly important to help you regulate your sleep patterns. Now, don't exercise right before you're going to go to bed because that's going to have your energy levels up. You want to exercise in the morning. That's a really great way to kind of start your day. And when I do that, when I exercise first thing in the morning, not only do I feel like a success already, because now I've accomplished something, but also I sleep much better later that night. Other things that you can do, one of the things that I often say is that the only two things that take place in the bedroom are sleep and sex. You want to get the electronics out of the bedrooms. Get the TV out of the bedrooms. I know people who will sleep with the TV on through the night. Like they are hearing that in their dreams trying to sleep. Get the laptops, the computers, the phones, get all the screens out of the bedroom. The bedroom is your sanctuary. You certainly don't want to eat right before going to sleep either. After you eat, your body is digesting that food. And you don't want to try to sleep while your body is doing that. You'll interrupt the digestion process. You'll also get a lot of acid reflux with that food coming back up, especially because you're laying down. So there are things that you can do every day to help regulate your sleep, and it will make you a lot more productive in your daily life. Another thing that you can do to hack your brain for success is to meditate. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I don't know how to meditate. I can't sit there and quiet my mind. Well, meditation is not about quieting your mind. But meditation is about sitting there in the silence, blocking out the noise of the world. And meditation could look like anything. Meditation can be you sitting down comfortably in a quiet place. It could be you laying comfortably, ideally not in your bed because your brain associates your bed with sleep. And if you try to meditate laying in bed, you may just go right to sleep. But find someplace else. that your brain doesn't associate with sleeping and just kind of lay there in the quietness. And you want to find the same spot to meditate so that you're telling your brain, this is what takes place in this particular location. For me, sometimes meditation looks like going for a walk in the park, or not too far from my house, I have a small lake and the foliage is beautiful. It is literally like being one with nature in the city. And I will just walk around that lake, just being one with my thoughts. So why is meditation so important? Well, meditation is important because it causes changes in the structure and function of your brain. Think about this. We live in a world that can be pretty stressful. Certainly the last few years have been stressful for most of us, being in a pandemic. I've talked before about how chronic stress can kill neurons in your brain, kills them. Well, meditation allows you to make new neurons and new connections. In fact, we see that people who meditate for 15 to 20 minutes a day, there are structural changes that we can see when we do things like an MRI of their brain, when we take a picture of their brain. And these structural changes suggest that they're making new neurons and new connections. And that's why there are areas that are a little bit thicker than might be if they're not meditating. Meditating is an incredibly powerful tool. Meditation also allows you to focus on a couple of things. It allows you to focus on whatever you want, but a lot of times people will focus on their breath during meditation. When you are able to take deep breaths and focus on your breathing, that is your brain essentially telling your body that you are safe, that you are safe. Think about this. If you're under attack, let's say if a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you, right? And you've got to run. What happens to your breathing? It becomes really rapid, because you're trying to get in as much oxygen in to be able to fire all these muscles that you got to use to run. That is incredibly stressful. You have activated your stress response. But when you're focused on your breathing, right, you let your body know that things can sort of calm down because you are not in any danger. So meditation is a really good tool that you can use for yourself every day. It causes structural changes in the brain. It's one of the things that promotes neuroplasticity. It helps your body know that you are safe. You can also use that time to not just focus on your breathing, but focus on your thoughts. Focus on the things that you want in life. So many of us are constantly thinking about the life we don't want. Maybe that's the life that we have currently and we're not happy with it. Well, meditation is a good time to focus on the life that you do want. When you focus on the life that you do want, neurons in your brain will come together to start pointing out opportunities that will lead you to that life. It's almost like the universe sort of conspires with you to help you create that life for yourself. So meditation is a great tool. It's a tool that I often use. And here's the thing, you don't need to meditate for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, or several hours per day. You can start meditating a minute at a time. Make it easy on you. If a minute's too much, 30 seconds. And start to build that habit. I guarantee you it's going to have a powerful effect and it's going to increase your productivity. Another hack to increase your productivity, which is something I'm really excited about because I've started doing this about 6 to 8 weeks ago, is to take cold showers, freezing cold showers, or to do an ice plunge. And so why is this a hack to increase your productivity? Well, think about this. When you are cold, when you're freezing cold, your body wants to protect your internal organs, your heart, right? Your gut, your kidneys, your liver. And so your body starts to divert blood flow from your extremities, from your hands, your arms, your legs, your feet, sends all that blood to these organs. Well, where does the heart pump blood to? The heart pumps blood to your brain. And now your brain is real selfish when it comes to blood, all right? It's real selfish when it comes to your energy production. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds. For most people, that is no more than 2% of their body weight. And yet, at any given time, it consumes 20% of your body's energy, 20% of your body's blood flow. In babies who are constantly learning and things are new, that can go up as high as 65% of their body's energy and blood flow. So all that blood now, when you are cold, taking that cold shower, doing that ice plunge, all that blood, or a lot of it, is being pumped up to your brain. And you end up feeling amazing. You end up feeling alert and focused. It also causes the release of dopamine, so you end up feeling really good. It is a powerful productivity life hack. And in fact, when you are taking cold showers and doing cold plunges, one of the things that we often see is that the effects of that last hours. People are sitting here trying to take a pill to make themselves feel good that lasts a few hours and have to take it again. And just taking a cold shower can do that. One of the things that we also see with taking cold showers is that it starts activating brown fat. So you actually lose weight over a period of time. Right? So taking cold showers is incredible. It is a mood booster. It releases those feel-good hormones. So that way you feel better. You're less anxious. You're not as depressed. In fact, there are moments where I'm feeling down about something and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go take a cold shower. And I come out of that cold shower feeling great. Now, don't get me wrong. Stepping in is a challenge. But here's the thing too. It's often a brain shift or a mind shift because there are days that stepping into that cold shower is the hardest thing I'm going to do in that day. It sets me up so that everything is easier. I'm like, man, I took a freezing cold shower today. Like dealing with that patient, that's going to be easy. Figuring out what to do for that person, that's going to be easy. Doing a podcast all day or, for hours, well, that's going to be easy. I've set myself up to win already for the day. So you do these 6 life hacks: exercise, laughter, eating healthy, meditating, sleep, and taking cold showers, and I guarantee that you will see your productivity rise and you'll feel much better for it. You've been watching another episode of the Surviving Your Brain podcast. I can't wait to see you again in the future.